There it is. Okay. We're back. First stage of assembling the i3 Mark III. And we skipped the intro. I did that earlier. But first things first, you're going to need to assemble on a flat surface for this stage. The way I do it, I take a straight edge that's flat, shine a light under it. If no light escapes under it, you've got a flat surface. There we go. So, I got a place to work. Next stage is assemble the parts. And in step 1, tools, I have those. Step 2 is the frame. I have that. Long aluminum extrusions, short aluminum extrusions. And I get to open a bag. Prusa does a really nice job. Every bag is labeled with the step you're on and what axis you're working on or what segment you're working on. So that makes it super simple. I did the same thing when I made the printed plastic parts. I bagged them. So I have all my parts. I got all my parts bagged for each section. And each one is labeled, so I can do the same thing Prusa does, which is just grab and go. I hope. Let's take a look. There's stuff everywhere in a second. Rubber feet, don't need those, don't need those, don't need those. Don't need that yet, don't need that yet. Don't need those yet. Okay, all that stuff can go over here. What I do need are these, which are gallon head cap screws that hold all this together. So get those out. Right. I need a 4-year-old to open this bag. There we go. And we're done with step 2. Step 3. Set these to a side. Stand this up. We're going to be working from the side that says Prusa on it. Like so. And you gotta make sure you're going to work with the correct holes, which are the inboard holes. It'll be way easier for me to turn it this way, but keep those extrusions on the correct side of the frame. Get one in here so I can balance this thing. Oh, maybe I can't balance it. Yeah, I know. There we go. Now it's standing on its own. Inboard set of holes for the long ones, and they go on the front side, of course, like we already covered. And just keep going till you have all 8 screws in this section. Hello. I wonder if this one will work. Nope. That one will. First stage, you just take them down. You don't tighten them, you just take them all the way in, and we'll tighten them later. I knew that was going to happen. There we go. What are we going to do it this way? No. There we go. So in the instructions, just make sure you're using the correct holes, which are the inboard set of holes, according to the picture in the thing. Yeah. Yep. Then we can go ahead and tighten these down. You can either tighten them by hand or you can use a torque wrench, 40 inch-pounds. I'm just going to tighten them by hand. And you tighten them in a diagonal pattern. Same on this side. Done with that part. Moving on to step 4, putting the short ones on the back side, the side that does not say Prusa on it, and repeat what we just did. And pop out the chat. Oops, gotta hit the hole. The instructions say this is a 1 to 2 hour job, but since I'm new to live streaming and etc., it may take longer. I'll try to avoid my habit of not reading instructions and just barreling ahead. See if I can find a different doohickey here. This doohickey? I knew I had one. Long straight Allen head's easier than working with those angles. If you're coordinated, it is anyway. This one has a unique feature in that it has a little tiny plastic nub right there, and you can pop it into the screw heads and they won't come off. Cool feature. probably go through and tighten these one more time after the end caps are on and after I check it for flat, because I know that's coming from previous experience. You have to check it for flat. Okay, let's do the coordinated thing. And then we have the short bars. So at this point it's just saying make sure you have extrusions on the correct side. Step 5, which means long extrusions go on the side with the Prusa on it. And the instructions are very specific if you follow them. Next we need a rear plate and a front plate and a bunch more screws. Wow, this is so straightforward I could do it without looking. Check something. Yeah, okay, we're good. Which side goes up? That side goes up. One screw, 2 screws. Since all the extruded parts are aluminum and the screws go in easily, if they go in tight you might be cross-threading, and you do not want to do that. Pull them back out, make sure they're straight, make sure they're loose. There we go. The way I'm organizing this is every video will have the same title as the chapter and the instructions. And when I'm all finished, I'll assemble them all into a playlist on my YouTube channel, supcoin.com. And you can go directly to the segment you need rather than having to sit through hours. You talking to me?
Supcoin.com.
Did I say that? Oh, I've been corrected. I said supcoin.com. It's Supcoin on YouTube. We don't have a .com. Apparently somebody's eavesdropping on me, which is probably good. And now she's smirking. I don't even have to look at her. This Allen head is a little looser than it should be, so be careful you don't round off the corners of it. Back one goes which way? Okay. You get to insert these little doohickeys. You do it now, or you have to take everything apart to put them in eventually. And make sure they're on the correct side. Looking from the back, they'll be on your left. This is also where the power supply goes, and that's what these are for, is to hold the power supply in place when we get to it. But we're not to it yet. check my pictures and instructions. I'm good. Okay. And that side up. Wow, just the right number of screws. How'd I guess? Get my floor jack out. Dee's on if you want to chat with her. I see you're on there, Dee, but I'm not going to be typing. It takes too much effort right now. Do my torque by feel routine. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let me guess, he wants me to check for wobble. Set it on your flat surface and check to see if there's anything that shouldn't, if it were not level, for instance, if you had anything torqued down weird, it would do this routine. But it's not doing that, it's solid. So, we're going to move forward. Right now it says put the rubber feet on, which I don't know where they are. There they are. These little guys, I'm not going to put them on right now because it's too much drag and moving around, and we'll put them on last. Oh, fun stuff. Set that back a little bit. Get out my bag of printed parts, and where's our knife? There's it. And it wants these for the Y-rod retainers. And a whole bunch of little bitty screws. Too little. And the next step is to preload all these little guys with square nuts. Now I haven't tried these, so I don't know how well my print came out, but we're going to try it. Oh wow, that one just slid right in. Here's another one. A square nut goes in there, like that. And it says to check them for center with with a wrench, but these I know are centered. These little buggers tend to fall out right when you don't want them to, so when you're putting them together, pay attention that they stay put. Or stay together, stay installed. Wow. My printer was obviously on the money. Down boy. Using an Allen wrench to seat those all the way. Square. There it is. Somewhere. I'm short a square nut. How can I be short? But Prusa anticipated that. By supplying me with a bag with spare parts. Buried in here should be a square nut. Oh yeah. What'd you do with my tweezers? There they are. There's a square nut in here somewhere. I just saw it. There's one. One square nut. Set the spares right there. See, that little guy fell out as soon as I set it down. And that little step is completed. Next step is to set this little nub down. Bring them up to the frame, and which screws we're using. These screws. See that, how that thing wants to fall out as soon as you move it? Ooh. So we'll put it real tight and go. And hopefully it stayed in place. Okay, not being cooperative. And I can see why it's not buried deep enough. Try again. There we go. Okay, at this point he wants you to tighten the screws equally, but not completely. That allows a little bit of give in this for when we put the rods in that go right here. Okay, Back side's done. Front side's done. Front side. Spin around, do the back side. You should read the chat.
Okay.
Now the front and the back ones both have nubs on them, but on the back side here, they don't sit in anything. That was a change from a previous version when you had to determine which Y holder had the nubs and which Y holder did not have the nubs. Now you don't have to worry about it, just put them in. I'm following instructions version 3.05. So if you're viewing this in the future, it could vary slightly because it changed instructions. Okay, those are in place. Next we get this guy. I need an idler housing. This is salvaged from the previous machine. That's this piece. And we take two locking nylock nuts, and they're nearly impossible to see, but they have a little insert right here that locks them in place, and you can tell that they're nylocks because they have a little bit of a, hard to see it, but a little bit of a crown appearance to them. And once the crown side up. Holy crap. Okay, get you inserted into this hole, kind of like that. Well, not just like that, but kind of like that. There we go. Just down here nice and snug. The other one put in place. Right side up would be preferred. There it goes. You heard pop into place. That's in the top. And this one also gets a nylock. That stage is done. Put the idler in there like that. And figure out if we can get this screw to start. There it goes. If that nylock is even a little bit off tilted, the screw won't start too easy, so you have to be careful with that. When you're done, make sure that thing still spins. Yep, that's what it says to do. Next, we mount that thing right here in these two holes, just like this. Yeah, since I'm right-handed, we'll do it this way. There, get the frame out of your line of sight. Again, that line lock was slightly out of whack, so it took a second to start it. Hello. Being uncooperative, so I'll do that one first. Maybe. There it goes. Oh, that's interesting. Ah, you know what the problem here is? Wrong end. It goes in the front. Long bars are in the front. Idler goes in the front. Motor and drive gear goes in the back. These you want to tighten only until you have a little bit of in-out movement still, because it'll be used to tension the belt later. There we go. What are we going to do? Oh boy, we get to do a motor. I like motors. We'll need motor mount and a motor. One of these three, but which one? Like I said, Joseph thinks of everything. Even the motors, they're labeled. And the motor says extruder. This one says x-axis. And this is one we want. It says y-axis. Set those aside. Some more screws, some more nuts. Y-axis motor. It's important that you use the correct motor in the correct location, because the length of the wire is just right. If you put a short wire in a long location, it won't reach. So there. Put some, and these are just regular nuts. These are not nylocks. Very tiny, very hard to see. They go in here like so. And then with the motor facing this away, according to the picture, this goes on here this away. Then what do I do? And then we put two of these screws in. I've worked with these motors quite a bit. This housing right here is aluminum, and you can strip it pretty easily, so just go snug. You don't have to do the iron gorilla routine and tighten it down 200 pounds. after, I don't know, 30 or 50 hours of running with my other machine, the machine I salvaged this from, I went through and retightened all the nuts and screws and found very few of them had moved even a little bit. Now this guy goes in here with this long bar down. More screws. There's another one in here somewhere. There it is. Motor shaft, which is right here, must be facing these screws, which it is. So I guess I did it right. Kind of get a feel for how much torque you're putting on things, so you torque everything equally. Okay, done with this piece for now. So we'll move it over here. It might still be in the frame, but that's the way it goes. We need this piece, and we need this piece. Oh, another bag of goodies. We need this one, this one, this one, bearings, this one, and a bunch of U-bolts, which are in here. Oh no, they're salvaged. Where are they? There they are. Okay. We'll be using 3 U-bolts and various nuts that go with them. 3 linear bearings. This goodie. These things are greasy a little bit when you open them, so I'm going to go get me a rag to clean my hands off with. It's okay if I get this one a little bit dirty. Cool. Moving on. Here's my handy dandy package opener. Right there. If you're curious what I'm working on, this surface right here, it is some of that padding that you can put on floors. This is a good side here. I'm working on the back side. But it's really handy for things like I need the knife right there, and so there's the knife. Or there's Mr. Driver. Anyway, I think a set of like 6 or 8 of these is about $14. Come on, get out of there. Well, come on. I thought that was stainless. It sticks to the magnet. Can you bring me the garbage can? So like I said, these things are a little bit on the greasy, oily side, so I just wipe them off a little bit. Another one. Another one. Donka, thank you. Okay. We have all the pieces for this segment. Yeah. first thing I want to do this is a sneaky part. I don't think I could show you this, but I'll try. Yeah, but you can't see it. Inside there are rows of bearings. They're in straight lines running parallel with a long axis. You want one row of bearings following this axis of these slots on the bottom. So just like that. And if I take a peek, I'll see that row of bearings is down. That's just quick orientation that he has you go through. And then each one, and by the way, it doesn't matter which way you face this X-frame. The old machine, it did make a difference, but I mean in the MK2s, but it doesn't make a difference in these. So you put that on there, put a U-bolt through it. Does he want us using Nylox? Yep, Nylox. I need smaller fingers to do this. And then check to make sure that you have a row of bearings facing straight down right there. I can see them in there, but you probably can't because it's so tight. And just take these down finger snug is all. No more. We'll tighten them a little bit more shortly. Let's see. Wow. I have pretty small hands for a guy, but this is still... come on. Got it. Next. There it is. There it is. Make sure the row of bearings is facing down. A lot of printers, like maybe some cheap Chinese ones, they have two sets of 2 bearings. Prusa doesn't do that. He only uses 3. I don't know if it's an economical thing or if there is a mechanical reason for doing it this way. But like I said, my other machine had over, I don't know, 1,000, 1,200 hours on it, and it had no issues. So I guess you can't argue with success, at least not too much. Okay, those are all finger tight, and bearings are located properly. It says when you're tightening these, as soon as the nuts touch the surface, you're done. You know, for the initial tightening. Okay, one thing I want you to do at this point is make sure, and very difficult to see, that the bearing is centered this direction, and this one needs to go that way a little bit, and I'll go through and center each one now. Same with this one. Center it by eye is good enough. It just wants to give them all basically the same relationship to the frame. Come back just a little bit. There we go. Bearings are still facing down. This is an interesting part of the game. He uses a pair of needle nose pliers to do this. I'm going to use a small crescent wrench. And what you do, what Prusa asks you to do is take each nut, grab it, and turn it 90 degrees. You're done. He doesn't want you any tighter than that. Same with the next one. 90 degrees. You're done. The problem is this metal housing, while it looks super tough, it's not, and you can damage it and crush it. So we'll follow the directions. And since the pliers are working okay, I'll go ahead and do them that way. 90 degrees. 90 degrees. 90 degrees. Maybe a pinch more. And 90 degrees. It would seem like it's not enough torque, but I never had them come loose on the other machine, so I'm good with that. Yeah, great big picture. How do I get rid of the big picture? Oh, cool. If you're having trouble visualizing something in the images, in the upper left corner of the images is a plus sign, and you can click on that and it'll give you practically a full screen view. So let's see. Okay, this is the Y belt, and I think he's using nylock, so let's take a look. Loading, loading, loading. Okay, not gonna come up. Wow, that's slow. Oh yeah, they are. Yeah, I just had to zoom in that picture to confirm that we're using nylocks here and two of these guys here. Do those press in there? Not really, they're just kind of loosey-goosey. I'm entirely wrong. No nuts at all. The frame is threaded. The teeth go towards the double bearings. I find that when you're doing multiple screws in a single item, get them just started first, because sometimes you have to lift it up to find out where the holes are. Then you can go ahead and cinch them down. And there you have that piece. Moving on. Oh boy, we get the rods. Where are the rods? You're welcome if that helped your ears. There are 3 sets of rods in here. Two long ones. Two long ones, 2 medium ones, and 2 short ones. We want the 2 medium ones. These can go back in the box for now. Set that aside. And now we'll see how we did on this part. Obviously this one's going to slide in very smoothly. But are these two lined up? Let's find out. Ho ho! I don't know if I'm good or if Prusa's good. One of us is. Cool. Okay. Now we need to frame again with the long side or front towards us. Towards me. I don't know where you are, so it wouldn't necessarily be us. And a double bearing, this one, whoops, don't lose them, goes on this side. Okay, motors in the back, front idler, double bearing is on the left side. I'm going to call that good. Use your thumb, press rods in all four holders. Really? It isn't very far. There's not a snap if that's what you're going to be listening for. They just seat. Okay. Yeah, it says don't use excessive force for that stage. Ah, boy, I get to open our package this time. Zip ties. Garbage can. When I built my first Prusa, I was a little concerned about this zip tie routine. But again, like I said, held up just fine. You're going to want to end up with a nut end inside, so you go from the outside in, like so. Same on this side. This is all that retains his carriage. Take it down tight. Like I said, that nut you want on the inside, the locking part or whatever they call it. Yeah, supposed to slide the frame forward so you make sure that it moves freely. Favorite tool for zip ties, parasite cutters. Side carriage all the way to the back. If I can do it like a spaz, I will. Is that still a word? So it's free. That means the bars are lined up, so I can go ahead and put these in. Oh yeah. Oh. I was also a little curious about a printer printing these blind holes, because you can't clean them out, but it worked fine. Watch, I'll do one. Will jam on me because I said that. And this is the part where the reason you didn't tighten these fully is you bring the carriage all the way back, then tighten them, then all the way forward, or vice versa. In fact, what he wants you to do is loosen them just a little bit. If you did over snug them, which I might have. By the way, this is the preferred handle method for lifting this thing, right here in the center of the frame. Just move the carriage back and forth several times to align the rods, but it's obviously very well done. Haha. Then you can go ahead and tighten these. Same with this, make sure it's free and in the back, and you go ahead and tighten them. You don't want to do undue force on these, undue torque, because while this is PETG plastic, it still can be compressed and distorted. If you tighten it too much, you'll suck that nut in there and create a new problem. Something I'm real good at. Okay. Where's my camera angle? Okay. At this point, I want you to turn the motor shaft so it's facing straight up, but this came off my old machine and I left the drive gear on it. And I know it's sitting on the flat part. And it says to start with it in further. But I have this Loctited, so I'm not going to do that. I don't think. Yeah, right. This one? This one? No? Okay, in his set, there's not, that came with this kit, there's not an Allen wrench to fit that particular drive gear. I have one somewhere, and I'll dig it out if I have to later. It's strange that none of these fit. That one's too big. That one's too small. That one's too big. It gave me two of this size. Should have one that fits that motor, but I don't. Now if I can figure out where those boxes are. Hang on. Nope, that's not the right one. Shoot. Right next to me I have one of those big red tool chests. And that's where I have all these goodies. Although they're not organized. I like that one. No. How about that one? Wow. How about this one? Aha! See, I knew I had one. Anyway, if I need to adjust the tracking on that by moving it back and forth, I'll loosen this and slide it around. But we're not to that point yet. Okay, it wants me to turn the frame on this side. This is just temporary. Don't worry, I'll get to the coordinated part eventually. Like I said, that's just temporary, keep them out of the way. But I need access to the motor, the belt holder, and the idler all at the same time. And this idler should be loose. Now we grab this dry belt. These are called Gt2 belts. And this may be a mystery because I did not test fit these, so we'll see what happens. Okay. Tooth belt is driven by the tooth gear here, but right now I'm inserting it in here. Ooh, loose fit. Around the idler, like so. So make sure I'm using the correct belt. Y-axis, we're good. It was up here above the frame that's up. Then around the motor drive, motor sprocket, like so. And then just temporarily, I set it in a T, so hold it. Okay, it says make sure these aren't tightened. From experience, I know that I'm going to back them off a little bit more than, but you still want to make sure they're threaded in. There you go. And then the fun part, grabbing this belt, and put some reasonable amount of tension on it. And find a set of slots it fits in. Now, Prusa gives you all the tools you need. It wouldn't hurt if you have some others handy, which apparently I don't. Oh, there it is. Old beater flat tip, and I'm going from side frame here. Well, not enough room. We're going this way. And press this belt in all the way. And both slots, make sure it's all the way in. and we'll adjust it. Should be snug, which it is. Show you what I'm looking at. The belt here should just be snug at this point. And he asked that we tension it later, so we'll do that. Now we need to do an alignment for that. Adjust the belt position, release screws and pull in, tighten and move it until you reach the best position in case you can't check sequence properly. Okay. What we're doing here, we'll make sure the belt tracks nicely. And I don't know if you're going to see it or not, but my belt is slightly riding up on the shoulder here, so I need to move that drive gear over a little bit. So let me 2 set screws. Yes, a little redneck force never hurt anything. Now that moved. As long as the belt doesn't ride up on either shoulder of that pulley, you're good to go. Again, this is into aluminum threads, so over tightening can strip them. Using the finger on one hand, push the belt down. Some force should be needed for bending the belt, but don't overstretch the belt or you might damage the frame. It does take a little bit of force, but I already know that I've got these a little bit on the loose side. There you go. And it says a test, and I never bother with this, but I'll do it for this video. It says to hold the motor by the flat with your pliers and try to move the carriage. If the belt is too loose, it'll buckle here and slide over the sprocket, but obviously this is not going anywhere. So, and according to the instructions, this is finished. this step. This is the y-axis that we just finished. It's ready to go. And what we're going to do is stop the live stream, and we'll set up for the next segment, which is, oops, yeah. And the next section is, okay, we're going to do the next video will be the x-axis assembly. And for now, we're done with this section. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the little bell button down there to get notifications of my live streams. Later.